I knew something was wrong the moment I walked through the front door and saw Ethan sitting on the couch like a statue, hands clasped, jaw clenched, eyes refusing to meet mine. The air felt thick, like the house itself knew something terrible was about to happen. And then he said the words that ripped my life in half. "Your sister told me everything." For a heartbeat, I couldn't even breathe. My sister?
Mia,
What could she possibly have told him? Ethan finally looked at me, and the hurt in his expression made my stomach twist. "She said you've been cheating on me. For months." The floor seemed to tilt under my feet. I laughed, an instinctive, panicked sound, because the accusation was so absurd it didn't feel real. But Ethan didn't laugh. He didn't even blink. That's when fear punched me in the chest. Mia had always been dramatic, competitive, and possessive in strange ways. Growing up, she wore my clothes, copied my hairstyles, even tried to date boys she knew I liked. But as adults, I thought she had changed. I thought the petty rivalry had burned away with age. I thought she loved me. I was wrong. The past few weeks had been filled with little oddities, Mia showing up unannounced, asking too many questions about my marriage, staying late, and watching Ethan with a weird sort of fascination. She had recently been kicked out of her apartment after failing to pay rent, but I didn't realize how desperate she was. Now, it all clicked. Ethan stood up. She showed me screenshots. Photos. My heart lurched. What photos? "Ethan, I have never cheated on you." "They look real," he said quietly. I don't know what to believe. My throat tightened. Mia couldn't have real photos, because nothing ever happened. But fake ones? Edited ones? Screenshots taken out of context? That I suddenly realized she could do. I tried to reach for Ethan, but he stepped back. That tiny movement broke something inside me. "Please," I whispered, "just tell me what she showed you."
messages, he said.
"Between you and some guy named R. She said she caught you meeting him." I shook my head so hard it made me dizzy. I don't even know an R. But Ethan was already spiraling into doubt. I had seen couples fall apart over misunderstandings, misplaced trust, jealous relatives, but I never imagined my sister would be the one to sabotage my life from the inside. As I stood there, trying to piece together how her lie had spread so quickly and violently, my phone buzzed. A message from Mia. I told him the truth. "You should have been more careful." My blood went cold. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This was a declaration of war. And I had no idea yet how far she was willing to go to destroy my marriage and replace me in my own home. The next morning, I drove to Mia's apartment with a fury I had never felt before. I didn't knock, I banged. When she opened the door, she was sipping coffee like she had just woken up from the best sleep of her life. She smirked.
Oh,
"You." I pushed inside. "What did you tell Ethan?" She shrugged. "Only what he needed to know." "Mia, you lied." "You think he'd have believed me if it wasn't believable?" She shot back. "You're the one who posts selfies looking miserable with him. People can tell when a marriage is dying." My stomach twisted. My marriage wasn't dying until you poisoned it. She lifted her coffee mug. "You're welcome." That was when I realized she wasn't delusional. She was methodical, calculated, almost proud. "What did you show him?" I demanded. She walked to her dresser, pulled out her phone, and handed it to me like she was gifting me a trophy. Fake messages. Photos created with AI filters. Screenshots of a man's profile photo next to text bubbles supposedly from my phone. They were good, convincing enough to make someone who was already hurting believe the worst. "You're sick," I whispered. Mia leaned against the wall. "I needed a place to stay." "You have that guest room." "He wasn't letting me move in while you were still with him. So, I fixed the problem."
I stirrte her, horrified.
"You destroyed my marriage so you could stay in my house."
Not destroyed.
Just shook things up. I threw the phone onto the couch, shaking with anger. "I'm telling Ethan the truth." She laughed. "Go ahead. He already thinks you're lying. And if you push too hard, I might have to produce even more evidence." My heart hammered. "Why are you doing this?" She leaned in close, her voice low and venomous. because you've had everything your whole life. The house, the husband, stability. I want my share now. Her words hit me like a slap. She didn't want to share, she wanted my life. As I walked out, she called after me. Tell Ethan I'll be over tonight. He looked like he needed company. I froze. That was her plan. She wanted him. She wanted to slide into my place like I was a piece of furniture she could replace. As I drove home, tears blurred my vision. Ethan wouldn't even look at me. I couldn't reach him emotionally, mentally, or physically. Mia had already wrapped her lies around him, like a snake. I realized then that proving my innocence wouldn't be enough. I had to expose Mia. I had to uncover her motive, her methods, and her history of manipulation. And I had to do it before she moved into my home and into my husband's life. By the third day, the tension between Ethan and me was suffocating. He barely spoke. He slept on the couch. He avoided eye contact like the truth might burn him if he saw it. But I wasn't giving up. I started with the basics, timestamps. Her fake messages didn't align with my real phone logs. I pulled phone records, screenshots of my actual messages, GPS data showing where I had been on the days she claimed I met this imaginary man. But Ethan's hurt created a wall logic couldn't penetrate. Anyone can delete messages, he said tiredly. I needed proof that Mia had manufactured the lie. I searched through old texts between her and me. One thing about Mia, she was sloppy when she got arrogant. And sure enough, I found a clue, a message from 2 weeks ago where she casually asked, "What phone model do you use again?" Just curious. At the time, I thought nothing of it. Now it screamed suspicious. Next, I checked her social media. She had recently liked several posts about AI editing tools, including one about generating fake chat screenshots. She wasn't even trying to hide it. But I needed hard evidence, something undeniable. So I went back to her apartment while she wasn't home and asked the building manager if she had allowed anyone inside recently. He said yes, someone who looked like an app technician had come to help her back up her data. That was my breakthrough. She had planned everything. I finally tracked down one more thing, her old broken laptop that she had thrown away in the building's recycling room. Inside, buried in the cache folders, were drafts of fake photos. Chat bubbles she had tested. Stock images of random men. A folder titled Proof. I felt sick. I copied everything onto a USB drive. When Ethan came home that night, Mia was already there, sitting at the table, wearing my favorite scarf, laughing like she belonged in my house. When she saw the USB in my hand, her smile dropped. "I have proof," I said. Ethan stood slowly. "Proof of what?" "Proof that everything she showed you was fabricated." Mia's voice sharpened. "She's lying. God, she's getting desperate." I plugged the USB into the TV. Her drafts appeared on screen one by one, unedited screenshots with timestamps, toolbars, open editing software, stock images before she inserted them into fake messages. Ethan stared in horror. Mia's face drained of color. But it wasn't over yet, not even close. Because when someone's lies collapse, they don't apologize. They attack harder. And Mia wasn't done with me. Ethan was speechless, frozen between shock and humiliation. He kept repeating, "Why would she do this?" as if the question itself might restore sanity. Mia recovered quickly because manipulators always do. She crossed her arms and scoffed. "This doesn't prove anything. Anyone could have made those files. Maybe you did." I stepped closer. "Then why were they on your laptop?" She faltered for the first time, visibly shaken. Ethan turned to her. "Mia, did you fabricate those screenshots?" Her jaw tightened.
No.
"Mia," he said again, quieter, more dangerous. Her eyes darted to the door, like she was planning to run. Finally, she snapped. "Fine. Maybe I exaggerated a little." "A little?" I cut in. "You tried to destroy my marriage." She glared at me with something almost feral. "You don't deserve the life you have." Ethan stepped between us. "Mia, you need to leave." She laughed, a bitter, ugly sound. "You think she's innocent? She's been complaining about you for months." I was doing her a favor. He shook his head. "Get out." Her face twisted. "You'll regret this." She stormed out, slamming the door so hard the frame rattled. But the damage was already done. Ethan sat down, burying his face in his hands. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "I should have trusted you." I nodded, but didn't speak. The apology didn't erase the days I spent defending myself, the nights I cried alone, or the betrayal of knowing my sister, my own blood, had been plotting against me. Trust, once cracked, grows fractures even after repair. And Ethan knew it. "I don't know why I believed her," he said quietly. "You've never given me a reason to doubt you." But I knew why. Because Mia had studied him. She knew exactly how to twist him, exploit him, deceive him. And she wasn't finished. Over the next few days, she harassed both of us, calls, messages, threats, guilt trips. When we blocked her, she created new accounts. When we ignored her, she went to relatives, spinning new stories. She told people Ethan had hit me. She told coworkers I'd been unfaithful with 3 different men. She even spread rumors in the neighborhood that we were getting divorced because I had mental issues. It was like she had declared open warfare, and she wasn't fighting to win. She was fighting to destroy. And if I didn't stop her, she would tear down everything I had left. When Mia escalated from lies to actual stalking, I knew things had crossed into dangerous territory. It started small, her car parked across the street. Then she followed me to the grocery store. Then she cornered Ethan outside his office, pretending to check on him. But the moment I realized she had gone fully unhinged was the night I found her standing in my backyard at 2 a.m., watching my bedroom window. Her silhouette was outlined by moonlight, motionless, almost ghost-like. My heart slammed against my ribcage. I grabbed my phone, turned on the porch light, and she froze for a split second before bolting. The next morning, we filed a report. But when the police arrived at her apartment, they found nothing except a hastily cleaned room and a note on her table. "If you won't let me in, I'll force my way into your life." It was the first time Ethan admitted he was scared. Mia was spiraling, fast and unpredictably. We increased our home security, installed cameras, changed passwords, alerted neighbors. But paranoia settled in like a fog. Every noise felt like her. Every shadow made my pulse spike. Then the worst blow came. My boss called me into the office. "I received an anonymous email," she said gently. "Photos of you. With another man." My stomach dropped. Not again. But these images were new. Deepfake videos, edited with frightening skill. They looked disturbingly real. My boss believed me. But she had no choice but to place me on temporary leave while HR investigated. I walked out of that building shaking. Ethan held me when I got home. "We're getting a restraining order. This ends now." But Mia wasn't hiding anymore. That night, she sent me a message from an unknown number. "You forced me to do this. You should have just let me move in." My blood turned cold. She didn't want my marriage. She wanted control. Possession. She wanted access to my home, my routine, my life. And when I closed the door on her, she broke the windows. I realized then that exposing her lies wouldn't be enough. I had to end this cycle forever. Before she escalated to something irreversible. It happened 3 days later. Ethan and I were sitting in the living room, talking to a lawyer about filing charges, when a violent crash exploded from the back of the house. Glass shattering, wood cracking. A scream. I ran toward the sound and froze. Mia had broken the window and climbed halfway inside. Her arm was bleeding, her hair wild, her eyes frantic. "Let me in," she shrieked. Ethan pulled me behind him. "Mia, stop." She lunged forward, kicking broken glass aside. "You ruined everything. You think you're better than me." I stepped forward, voice steady despite my pounding heart. "Mia, you need help." She screamed so loud it cracked. "I need your life. You stole everything from me. You don't deserve what you have." Ethan called 911 while I faced her. "Mia, why me? Why are you doing this to me, of all people?" Her expression twisted with something chilling. Envy so raw it was destructive. "Because you got the husband. You got the house. You got the stability. You got the life I should have had. I was supposed to be first.
Not you.
Never you. Her voice cracked on the last word, shaking with rage and a pain she had buried for years. By the time police arrived, she was screaming incoherently, throwing things, trying to claw her way deeper into the house. Officers pulled her out, cuffing her while she kicked and sobbed. When they drove her away, her eyes locked on mine. This isn't over. But it was. It had to be. Because the next day, she was placed under psychiatric evaluation. The restraining order was granted. We handed over every piece of evidence, fake screenshots, deepfakes, messages, recordings. My boss reinstated me. Ethan and I began therapy to rebuild trust. But trauma has an echo, and hers lingered in every corner of my mind. I survived her, but I didn't forget her. Months passed. Life steadied. The windows were replaced, the lies were exposed, and Ethan and I began to breathe again. But the scars remained, visible, emotional, relational. Trust became something rebuilt brick by brick. Some days strong, some days fragile. But we were healing. Mia, meanwhile, stayed in inpatient treatment after being diagnosed with a severe personality disorder exacerbated by untreated trauma, jealousy, and spiraling delusions. Doctors told us her obsession with me stemmed from childhood rivalry she never resolved. I visited her once. She sat across from me, calmer but hollow. "You'll never forgive me," she said quietly. I didn't answer. Forgiveness isn't a gift, it's a process. And I wasn't there yet. "I just wanted what you had," she said. "I wanted my sister," I replied. She looked away. That was the last time I saw her. As I walked out of the facility, I realized something. My sister didn't ruin my life. She shattered the illusion I had about who she was. She forced me to confront a truth I had always avoided, that love without boundaries turns into poison. Today, I keep my circle small. I protect my peace fiercely. I rebuilt my life with intention, not assumption. And sometimes on quiet nights, when the house is calm and the world is still, I remember her standing in my backyard, desperate, broken, dangerous. A woman who wanted my life so badly, she tried to destroy it. A woman I once trusted more than anyone. A woman I still mourn, despite everything. Because sisterhood is complicated, and betrayal from blood cuts deeper than a knife. But in the ruins she left behind, I built something stronger than what she tried to steal. I built myself. And no lie, not even hers, can take that away.